it started out as a pre-pandemic thing. I mean, we were obviously kind of, planning to do another record. And we had kind of talked about, we had waited a long time in between records in the past. And this time I think we were kind of like eager to jump back into writing a little bit. And we knew that it had already been almost a year, I think, since What's Fast as Prologue when we started kind of planning this. And then the pandemic happened and it kind of threw everything, for a loop. And because originally I think we were planning on doing this record, like going to record and stuff like that, like trying to plan everything out a little earlier. And I feel like this kind of like the pandemic kind of pushed it back. But honestly, in the long run, I think having that extra time and a lot less distractions of like tour and, the normal routine of tour, right, studio tour, right, studio kind of thing, really helped out the record a lot. It's trying to look at the bright side. I think it kind of comes down to, the last three records had been like each one kind of told its own story in this overarching, like almost like trilogy of storytelling. That basically, like, when I was writing lyrics for the last three records, it felt like I was fitting these pieces into a story. And then this time around, I didn't really take that approach. It was kind of more of a just writing songs about what I've been going through lately, rather than like trying to tell this huge overarching story, more so just having like an overarching theme. And so it was a little bit more of like a patchwork of songs. And I think that kind of led to it a little bit. I don't really remember, honestly, how we like came to like, this is going to be the title. I think it was like a bunch of little things that kind of, pieced it together, which it makes its own pun, The cover art was done by our good friend Michaela. It is awesome. And art directed by Ben Leeper, who also did the Cloudstick video. Another good friend of ours has actually filled in on drums for us on tour before. But yeah, it really does like kind of, have a bunch of, local venues and stuff here in Nashville that we really like, and like local bars and stuff like that. Some made up, inside jokes that are bars. There's at least one of those on there. It also has like a lot of throwbacks to references from Frithos Pass, and kind of like little Easter eggs for stuff throughout the album as well. Cloudstick. That track was, I want to say we like started writing it somewhere in like the early to middle part of the writing process. And it kind of existed as this, as the song. And then when we got to we were kind of like, okay on it, we liked it. It was like, yeah, this is like your typical old school free throw song, And then when we got to the studio working with Will, we kind of like put together that hook using stuff we already had in the song to like make, hook better. And that's when that song just like, it really took off for us. We really felt like that song was like, wow, this is like a quintessential free throw song. It kind of like encapsulates everything that free throw has done, on the record and in the past. And as for the music video, yeah, it was really fun to kind of run around Nashville to all those places that are, featured on the front of the record. And even though a lot of them, were closed, I've never ran so much in my entire life. We ran like 5 miles in like one day. It sucked. That was one of the earlier songs that kind of came around in the studio that made me kind of go, wow, this is sick. I think that song, as a writing standpoint, I think Justin kind of busted out the bass line and Kevin busted out the drum beat, and we kind of just like went from there. And then lyrically, it kind of took shape, in the studio. I was kind of thinking back to like, the style with the pandemic and recording during a pandemic, it was only in the Airbnb or in the studio, because we went to Philly for the record. And so it was like only Airbnb or studio. That was like it. And, I was kind of feeling just like cooped up, trapped a little bit. And I was thinking back to times when I felt like that emotionally and stuff. And that song kind of just like poured out onto the page. Like I didn't really have to try too hard to write the lyrics. It just kind of happened. The music video on that one, yeah, that was fun. It was a one take shot. Michael Herrick, who did it, was on like a dolly that like circled around us a bunch. And both attempts we had at the video before the sun went down, the dolly broke both times. He had to finish both of them like handheld, which is impressive. Ocular Pat Down is one of my favorite songs on the record. It has this really drivey hook. It's kind of a song about people being fake, I guess. It's kind of a slight jab at like some things about the music industry and some things about, you know, certain people in life that are just, you know, you can tell that it's just like a social ladder climb kind of thing. As for working with Will, it was great. I feel like Will's a bona fide genius. His approach to everything is just like super positive, and he makes it very, very easy to work with him. Like chilling with Will in the studio is like you're working, but like you're also not working. It's fun. We played a lot of like mini basketball, like door basketball, hoop basketball. But I mean, I honestly, throughout the whole recording process, he felt like a member of the band. He felt like a member of the team. It was never like this, like, oh, we're working with Will. It was just kind of like we were working as a unit. And that was super sick. That was super nice. I don't know. It feels like, you know, getting older, I guess. Like, with the last record, it was especially lyrically, it was a pretty in-depth record about, you know, pulling myself up out of this like dark spot in life, you know, this deep, dark hole in my life, and about getting better, you know, from that. And then at the end of the record, it's like, yeah, I'm better. This is great, you know. And then, you know, after that, you kind of realize like, okay, there's no finality to getting better. Like you don't just get better and stay better like until the end of time, you know, all happy sunshine, you know. It's more so, you know, a balance, you know, of ups and downs, and like just this whole like ebb and flow of life, you know. And it was like realizing that whole, you know, you can get better, but it doesn't like that being better isn't, you know, the perfect final end to all of it. You know, you still have the ebb and flow of life to deal with. And I think with the record, this new record, lyrically and musically, it really fits that as like a theme almost. I definitely grew up a little bit since the last record, because I think leading into What's Past is Prologue, I was, you know, getting older age-wise, but still kind of like living the fast life, you know, like as a younger person, I was, you know, drinking a lot and like really, really going for it. And then, you know, after What's Past is Prologue, I kind of like started to take that step back and, you know, just kind of like grow up a little bit. And going into this record, I definitely feel like the music reflects that, you know. I just hope that they enjoy it. I hope that they take the record and listen to it for what the record is, and not based on, you know, stuff we've done in the past, or, you know, not to go in with like preconceived notions, I guess. Just like listen to it, enjoy art for what art is, you know. And I hope that people can relate. I mean, writing free throw songs for me is kind of like a therapy, you know. I write a lot about my personal life and like a lot of the issues that I go through. And, you know, I think sometimes that's a little bit of me, you know, kind of like reaching out, you know, not wanting to feel so alone in the things that I go through. So I hope that people relate, and that, you know, I don't have to feel so alone in some of the things that I go through.